Hey there, welcome to Searching for Service, a show geared to help connect people to service opportunities, Rotarians and non-Rotarians alike. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Kirk, with me,
Chad Larson.
And today we have the wonderful Dayle Quigley.
District Governor, 5960.
And 5950. Wow, look at us going right back and forth. Thanks for joining us, Dayle.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself, just kind of background before we get into the Rotarian and being the governor.
Oh, wow. So I grew up in Baltimore. So I am not from the Midwest. I'm a transplant back in 1995.
That's both governors that we've had on our.
Mm-hmm. Lloyd's a transplant, too?
Yep, he's from Arkansas.
Oh, yeah. So where I grew up was considered south of the Mason-Dixon line, so maybe there's even more in common between Lloyd and I. But yeah, so I went to medical school in Philadelphia, was in the military for 7 years in the Air Force, spent 4 years in Okinawa, Japan.
All over the place.
Yeah, and then transplanted to Hayward, Wisconsin. An international mecca.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Big jump. Beautiful area, though.
It is,
it was
a beautiful area. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, what got you into service? Has service always been part of your DNA?
Yeah, I think I've always been involved in doing things. My parents and my grandparents were very much into service opportunities and giving back. I've always kind of really felt very blessed in my life. A lot of what I've been able to do has nothing to do with me as much as, dumb luck or fortune. So I've always felt like the right thing to do is to give back. I also had a grandmother who raised 3 boys on her own, my dad, and had very little to show for it. And when she passed away, we figured out why, which was because the people came out of the woodwork to honor her. And the truth was she had given it all away.
Wow.
So I think that's just always been a part of who I am. I've said all along that I think, they talk about Rotary having 1.4 million members. And the truth is that, Rotary isn't the card. Rotary is kind of what lives inside you. Mm-hmm. There are millions and millions and millions of Rotarians around the world. They just don't have a membership card.
Right.
Yeah, serving.
It's all about making the world better.
Yeah. No, that's really well said.
Yeah.
So hear that out there? You're all Rotarian.
And how long have you been in Rotary, and what kind of got you started with obviously the service side of it? But
I did not grow up in a Rotary family. Never heard of Rotary. My daughter decided in 10th grade that she really disliked high school. And so she thought she would get through it faster by being an exchange student for a year.
Very cool.
And so we started looking at exchange programs, and she went through Rotary.
And she found the youth exchange.
She found the youth exchange.
Amazing. Another one.
Yeah.
I said this at our meeting is I was like, I have been absolutely dumbfounded how many of our guests have either gotten their start or have been connected through youth exchange. Like, it seems to just be that thing that connects everybody along. And a lot of people get introduced to Rotary that way. So
my daughter went to Latvia. She was one of the first inbound students to ever go to Latvia.
Oh, cool.
And we went to see her. They tell you shouldn't do it, but we did. And met her. I've never been one who's accepted no.
Your affinity to disobey is...
Yeah, it's kind of high up there. Now somebody saying you can't do something is really just a challenge, right?
Well, your brain doesn't hear the negative, right? It's like, oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, I can't do that. Okay, sure. Got it. But I think we timed it right to go and see her, towards the end of the spring, but giving her enough time after we left to be able to say goodbye to her host families without us being there. But met her host family and realized that they, in a sense, kind of loved her as much as we did. Like, they were really vested in her succeeding. And when you have kids, to know that somebody would step up if you couldn't be there, that is such a relief.
Well, it's the number one fear as a parent. Like, what happens if I'm not here?
Yeah.
World falls apart.
Right. Will my child survive? Will they be tormented for life? And so I thought, man, Rotarians must be great people. And so I came back to Hayward and asked if I could be in the Rotary Club.
That's such a cool story. That's how you got involved to start. And as you've grown, obviously being the district governor, what other roles that led to that, and how did you kind of get entrenched into Rotary?
Well, so the Hayward Club is very small.
But mighty.
That's right, exactly. Small but mighty, and getting mightier all the time. But so I'd like to say too, if a Rotarian asks you out for coffee or a drink, just be prepared.
I've only been in the Rotary for 2 months, and I've already figured that out. So within 2 years, I was president of the club. I actually ended up doing it for 2.5 years. The first time I only lasted 6 months. But actually that was great for the club because a club that was very disjointed actually came together to run the club because I said, I'm not doing this. Yeah.
But I did come back maybe about 8 years later and did it for 2 years in a row again.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And we were moving forward. I mean, it was the right time. I was not the leader then that I needed to be the first time. And as I say, it was a club that was very entrenched in the way things had always been done.
Yep.
And a large number of the club members at that point had actually been Rotarians, let's say in Chicago or Minneapolis, and they had retired to Hayward.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were Rotarians there, but to them, they had, quote unquote, already done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they were much more interested in just showing up for the
Yep.
meeting on Wednesday,
Yep.
and expecting that
For
the
the
president
fellowship,
did everything else. And I wasn't that kind of leader. So it wasn't the right time when I first took it on.
Well, the first one through the wall always gets bloody.
Yeah, very true.
So then you just came back after you laid all the bad, like, hey, water's warm now. It's okay to come in.
Okay.
All right.
But I've told this story around the district. I didn't quit Rotary when I stopped being the president. I stayed with Rotary, and I went to India on a National Immunization Day, which was fabulous for anybody who's out there, Rotarian or otherwise. If you ever have a chance to go do a National Immunization Day, you should do it because it is astounding. They immunize 145 million children in 3 days every 6 months.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Right? I mean, when COVID came along, I don't think we immunized 145 million people in a year. Let alone.
We could have learned from that, the
Right,
efficiency.
It was, incredibly efficient, lots of partnerships. UNICEF is involved and WHO is involved and all the local medical providers and the Rotarians to get this done every 6 months.
That's incredible.
So I came back highly inspired by what was really feasible with people joining together and working together, what we could accomplish. So that was probably the best thing that ever, happened to me in terms of foraging forward.
Well, that makes sense. You learn so much about the importance of probably seeing a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different, you brought it back to the club where maybe the first time that you went, you're like, we got to be doing this. And you weren't bringing anybody with you because they were like, hold it, wait. We already have done this. So you probably just spoke to your club a little differently. I think about that all the time, and just markers of good leaders is always, they seem to always get you. They may not always agree with you and they want you to do something else, but they get you at least. And so you at least have buy-in.
Yeah.
And when you talk about this vaccination effort, I'm sure that there's a lot of different thought philosophies behind that, but they have some common communication style that carries amongst all the groups of people that, that they have similar goals and aspirations. And
for us in the U.S., who had the polio vaccine for a while and didn't see polio, India, cases of polio are front and center.
yeah.
I mean, it is only over the last decade or so that they're not having all the cases. And And in a place like India and a lot of these nations, if you are disabled like that, your life is over.
Yeah.
It is over. You will not marry. You will not. I mean, we've been fortunate in the U.S., I think, in terms of moving some of those things more quickly forward than other countries.
Yeah.
And so are disabled individuals. 38 seconds.
38 seconds. I'm like, man, this is a good story.
Sucker up. But yes, we've been looking after our disabled folks.
We have context.
We have context. And so...
speaking of context...
You need to go.
Well, and we'll build more context of the show, some of the things that you've been working on as district governor in our next segment. So, Chad, take us out of here.
You're listening to Searching for Service. I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm Joe Kirk.
We'll be back.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops, and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Hey, welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm Joe Kirk, and with me...
I'm Chad Larson.
And we have the pleasure of having Dayle Quigley, our District 5960 District Governor for now, right? You're almost done.
We're on week 43 as of this Sunday.
Nobody's counting.
Nobody.
There isn't the check marks in a dark cave somewhere, right? But before the break, we were talking a lot about how, you learned a lot from leadership from doing the immunization campaign in India. And that brought you into your current role as district governor. Let's talk a little bit about how did you come into that role, and then how is it going?
President,
from president to how did obviously somebody either asked you or you volunteered yourself.
Somebody took me out for a martini. I think is what happened.
Buttered you up a little.
It needed more than coffee or a beer. It was a martini. I should have known.
Dead giveaway.
It was a dead giveaway. I'll be honest with you. I actually interviewed for it twice. So was interested in. A friend of mine says I never do anything for more than about 5 years in terms of that's about where I can set my focus. But I always have had in my life some sort of major project going on. I started a string program for kids in Hayward, Wisconsin, teaching violin, viola, cello, bass. Got it up and running, and I'd made that into a nonprofit, and I had turned it over to the board. It was time for somebody else to lead it, and I was kind of looking for my next kind of big thing to do. So I actually did interview, and they picked somebody else. I'd like to think they regretted it, but I know they didn't. And they asked me and said, well, would you look at, doing this or interviewing for the job the following year? And I said, you know what, who knows what I'll be doing in a year.
Yeah.
But I'll think about it. And anyway, it was a couple of years before I came back. If I do something, I want to really be able to do it. I don't like to half-heartedly do something. And so the timing has to be right. Mm-hmm. And I have to feel like I have something that's worthwhile, something that will benefit the organization that I'm working for.
Yep.
Like, you do not need me taking care of your financial books. That
Yep.
would be a bad idea. And I would never agree to it because that's a bad idea. So I love Rotary. I love what we stand for. I believe in what we do. Mm-hmm. I believe we can do it better.
Yeah.
I believe, as I said before, that there are millions and millions of Rotarians out there. They just don't have a membership card.
Yeah.
Because it's really what lives within you.
Yeah.
And so that's really why I decided to take on being the governor. It's also a fabulous way to really understand all that Rotary's doing. Mm-hmm. All the pots, that it has hands in. Everything it can accomplish, the partners that we have, the respect that we have around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
And so being in the governor role really allows you to experience that even further. And hopefully when you do that and you learn all that, then it comes back to the district. Because I don't think if you stay just in your club, you see what good's being done, but you don't realize the magnitude of the lives we impact around the world. If you're just seeing what your club is doing and you're not out there.
It's a good start. Your club is a great start.
It's a great start. It's a great way to have your feet on the ground and to work in your community. It's also a great way to, put your toe in the water in terms of looking at working in other communities or working around the world. Mm-hmm. The clubs are the heart and soul of Rotary.
But there's more.
There's
a lot more. And I just really quick, I want to share something with the audience that I kind of picked up in Dale's story here is patience is a virtue for sure. And waiting for the right time, being said no to several times and continuing to come back and say yes when that, opportunity does present itself at the right time. I think that's a really great thing for people to hear and understand that, not everything comes to you easily. Maybe the first go around doesn't work the same way, but to keep going back at it. Like over and over in your story, from the presidency to the district governorship, there's just kind of this overcoming and being patient and understanding timing.
Yeah, you always have to have the right kind of maybe expectation.
Yeah, well, that's actually a good way to say it.
I started playing the fiddle in my 30s. Wow. That's my mother told me, my mother told me I had to play the piano as a child, but she also told me I was horrible at it and really shouldn't practice that much. I was the kid that they asked to lip sync in the choir, that I should not play a musical instrument. So when I took on playing the fiddle, my daughter was starting to learn to play at the same time. And my goal was for us to be able to play a mean duet when she reached high school. 12 years down the road, we'd be able to play a mean duet. And so the fact that I wasn't good for a really, really long time was fine.
Yeah.
Right? The expectation is, I was not expecting to be first chair, at, the Philharmonic. That was, so maybe that's the same thing, right? You start small, you join a club and you get involved with local service projects. You find people that you connect with and then you go like, wow, that's great.
What else
if I could do this here, wow, you mean like I could go to like Panama and and build latrines there and change those lives? I mean, wow, I could go and do X, Y, and Z. I mean, I've built stoves in Guatemala. I've been to Nicaragua looking at micro economic development. I've been to Israel on a friendship exchange, best 2-week trip I've ever taken. I've met up with Rotarians in Italy and Portugal, and my daughter was running there, who helped me get around to see her run. I mean, the opportunities just start budding.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You go in with the expectation that I'm going to help feed my neighbors, clean paths, provide books, and then the world opens up for all sorts of possibilities you didn't even know existed.
Wow.
And that's the beauty.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Rotary. You can just stay in your club and do stuff there, but the opportunities to expand and to meet people all over the world and realize that we're all in it together, that's the beauty of what happens over time.
I mean, it's amazing even just having the show, how much it's expanded my horizons on what's out there past the club too. I mean, it's like even just locally within the state, within the 2 districts, you're just like,
yeah, so much
going on.
So many opportunities.
So you should never be bored is what you're trying to say.
Oh, no, you should never be bored. Yeah, when my children used to come up to me and say, I'm bored, I would say, you know what that means? You have a lack of imagination.
And I've got a good one, so get outside.
As the governor, what are some of the big goals that you had, and how has things been going? I know that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
We only got 2 minutes before break, but we can get into
We can continue this. We can continue this one, yeah.
So one of my big goals actually was for people to get out of their clubs.
Yeah.
To visit other clubs, not only just in our district, but throughout the state, throughout Wisconsin, around the world. So we actually started something called a passport program, which is looks like a little passport. And every time you go to a different club, then you get a stamp or a signature in it. It actually opens up people to a fabulous raffle. Because every stamp or signature counts, gets a raffle ticket. Because I think that we do sometimes get stuck in our clubs, and then we don't realize that there are better ways to do things or activities out there that you go, wow, they run a bingo night and they make $15,000. Why aren't we running a bingo night?
Yeah.
Yeah, why aren't we running a bingo night?
But you go and you say, oh, wow. So they donated $500 to that project in, let's say, Guatemala. Wow. Like, we could do that, and then our members could go down on that trip. I had no idea that you didn't have to be in the Hudson Club to go with the Hudson Club on their Guatemala trip to build stoves. I had no idea. And so,
I wouldn't have known that until now.
Right. So the key is to get people out and to get people more involved. And I think we have been successful in that.
Yeah.
Being governor is like drinking from a fire hose. Every day there's 1,000 new opportunities. It's narrowing them down to what works.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about a couple of them in the next segment? How's that sound?
Sounds fabulous.
Awesome.
You're listening to Searching for Service. Give us a like. You can find us on podcast apps anywhere. Like us, follow us, and share us. Chad Larson.
And Joe Kirk. Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Hey, welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
And today we have Dayle Quigley. She is the district governor for District 5960. It's a big one, right? Tell us, first of all, District 5960.
Yes.
What does that cover?
So we have a hourglass-shaped district. It's kind of very bizarre. So we go as far west up north, I think, as like Elk River. Mm-hmm. And then we go all the way across into Wisconsin, Hayward being the northern. And then we come down and form an hourglass through St. Paul and Hudson. And then we spread back out again. We go all the way down to Albert Lee. We go over to Mankato and St. Peter, and so it's a very, very weird district. You know, what
but
can
it's
I say?
Wonderful.
It is wonderful. It is wonderful.
What's the most miles you've driven in one day? Like, have you done like the Mankato to Elk River run in a day or something?
I don't even want to think about how many thousands and thousands of miles I've put on my vehicle. But I don't even keep
You should
track
write some
of
reviews for Tesla, right? Because that's what you drive, right?
I wish I drove a Tesla.
Or no, that's what Lloyd drives.
Lloyd drives a Tesla. I've got a Mazda.
Oh.
CX-3.
Oh,
and
perfect. Great gas mileage.
I know this is nothing to do with Rotary, but sorry for people out there, but I have always wanted like a classic older car. And then I realized that the kind of car I really wanted was not safe on the road, and I really planned to drive it. So I ended up with a 2004 BMW Z4 convertible for the summertime. $12,000. 60,000 miles. Mint condition. How lucky was that?
Yeah.
Premium gas, $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah, it gets about 32 miles to the gallon.
Does it really?
It does. It really does.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So anyway,
those
I
Germans
know
know how
that,
to build them.
You know, it's a great car. Very happy with it. But anyway, back to maybe Rotary.
So we were talking about your year as the district governor. We talked about some of the projects and how you got there. What is a project that you're maybe still working on, or that you're most proud of, or that was most entertaining, or just tell us about them.
Okay, so my belief in being district governor, and you have to understand, I work full time as I have this job. So I kind of have two full-time jobs
hours
right
too.
now. Yes, I do have very. For those of you out there who don't know, I'm an emergency room physician, and so I work nights and days and 12-hour shifts, and so I have not gotten done as much as I would say the ideal governor would have gotten done. That's the reality of the situation. But Rotary is not a 100-yard dash. It is an ultra marathon, and we are here for the long haul. And so my belief about my position for this year was to move us forward. And that may be just one cog, but to move something forward that's sustainable and will allow the next district governor to come in behind me and to move the wheel one cog further. And if we keep doing that with things that are sustainable, not something that goes away as soon as I leave.
Yeah.
That's sustainable, that our district will move forward over time.
Boy, do we have a theme for this episode, don't we? Just small steps, consistency,
Keep
moving forward.
Chugging along.
All right, so the suspense is killing me. What project was it?
So we had two big things this year, and one would not be considered a project. The one was taking all of our positions and making sure we had succession planning.
Yeah.
Because we have not had succession planning. And you walk in as district governor and you've got 14 roles to fill, and nobody has been trained or prepped to move into that position. And so every time you do that, you start at ground zero again. So one of the biggest things we put into place was succession planning, so that when the head of membership turns over, he's got his next person in line, and they're getting trained up, and they will take over. And so it's, it's not flashy.
No, but it's
process
That's going to be the gift that keeps on giving, too.
Exactly. And my other most favorite project was this podcast.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
Now I know what you mean by you're going to laugh at it.
Because this was just a brilliant idea. I did not come up with it, so I cannot take credit for it. I just jumped on the bandwagon, but I knew a good thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a great thing for everybody. It's great for Rotary. It's great for recognition, but it's also great just in terms of encouraging people to go out and make a difference in their lives, whether that is with a membership card for Rotary or whether that is just going out and doing good in the world.
Yeah, finding some
That's
service.
the bottom line.
It's truly like you hear about some of these people that have, excelled far into Rotary International, and like where they all started was as simple as they were in their club or they got introduced, or there was youth exchange. It was just this simple little thing, and that's what's really powerful about this, for this audience, is it's just that small little, like, get involved with the service projects in your local area that's put on through Rotary or another organization for that matter, and just see where it goes.
Right, exactly. And the other thing I think that people should think about too, right, is I think we're all passionate about something. Yep. We all have something that we truly believe in, or something that we look out in our communities and say, we could do that better.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, you can go out and you can get all your friends and neighbors, or you can join a Rotary Club or go to the Rotary Club and say, I'm passionate about this.
Yep.
How can we partner together? How can I work with you? How can you work with me to take what is maybe a small project right now and expand it? So when I was running the Northwood Strings program, we wanted to expand into the Lac-Courte Indian Reservation and start a program out there. And so the Rotary Club went for a grant. We ended up being able to purchase violins and violas and the instruments needed for us to go out into that neighboring community and start a string program out there. So that's one of the beauties about Rotary, too, is you can take what you're passionate about and take it into the local club and then, explode it, expand it, make it exponential. Instead of it being yourself, take, 20 of your favorite friends with you now.
Yeah, the infrastructure's there at the club with ideas. That's what I'm learning.
Right. So you don't have to leave your passions at the door. It's not like, well, I was really passionate about the environment.
Yep.
But the club I'm joining is really passionate about ending human trafficking. Another great idea, right? Yep. But you don't have to leave your passion outside. You can bring that in and then take it further.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's
bigger dreams.
Phenomenal. And thank you for saying that we were your favorite project.
I'll tell you what, as a new Rotarian, what the show has been great for me is, I go to the meetings and you see what's going on at that level, but just getting exposure to, some of the stuff we've talked about. At the club level, you kind of hear some of it, and we do have speakers on it, but the show has maybe learned so much more about all the different opportunities. And so that's one thing I can tell you as somebody that's new to it and still learning. The show is very much helping me understand all that, because there's so much you can do and so many opportunities, and it's very much doing that from a communication standpoint.
Perfect.
That's
Dayle,
the goal, right?
What is your one regret that you'll have when you exit this year?
Oh, he's going negative.
Oh,
okay.
not negative.
No, not negative.
Opportunity.
Oh, that's right. We were talking.
So here is, and it's not a regret, but it's certainly something that I learned this year. Saying, being district governor is like having a fire hose pointed at you endlessly. And you see where a difference could be made, where you see something that's not being used in the best manner or could be done better, and you don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
Missed opportunities. I know that my district right now has missed opportunities with people who are interested in joining Rotary and not really tracking how well we're doing actually bringing those people in.
Yep.
And I'm a data person.
Yeah.
And so, I want to know how many of these people who come forward end up joining? How many of these people are actually contacted? How many of these people are contacted and don't follow through?
Yep.
I think we have a huge missed opportunity there. Huge. And so the good part is, right, so now, as I leave my year, I can turn around and say, well, that's what I want to work on.
Yep.
Like, I can take a couple of smaller projects that I really believe in and make that difference and build that up and then be able to turn that over to somebody, right? If we look at all the data and find out that, 1 out of 300 people who go on the Rotary page and say they want to join ever actually join, then maybe we shouldn't be spending our time there.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe we're missing. I bet we should be able to turn 90% of those into numbers.
Yeah, conversions. I mean, if you're already getting there because you're interested, I agree with you.
Well, what I like about that, though, and again, I'm going to go back to the theme of our show, is that once your year is over as district governor, now you can be a squeaky wheel to the next governor and go, this is what we're going to work on.
Exactly.
Well, this is Chad Larson. You're listening to Searching for Service.
And I'm Joseph Kirk. We'll see you on the next segment. Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Last segment. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Joe Kirk, and with me,
Chad Larson.
And we are on Searching for Service. And with us, Dayle Quigley of District 5960, District Governor, outgoing District Governor in a few months, right? Yeah. And you've been talking to us throughout the show about, all kinds of stuff, how you got started, how you got into it, your favorite projects. Thank you very much. Right, Chad? Yep. Everything. And, this segment is always geared towards what do you see in the future? like what are your hopes and aspirations for this show, for Rotary, for yourself? How do you see? So let's just start with like, what do you see as the future of this show? What's your hopes and aspirations?
That it lasts forever.
Sustainable.
So, right. Stable. So it is one of my projects that I'm going to take on next year, which is really making sure that this show is completely sustainable.
Yep.
So getting sponsors, making sure we're using our time to the best ability, and that we're reaching out to people, because truly the real idea out there is we need to care about each other. Yep. We need to come together as communities. We need to worry about other people. We need to help other people. Most of us are truly blessed in our lives. And if we don't realize that, that is a sad shame.
Yeah.
So reaching out and encouraging people to take the step to go out and help others and to help their neighbors and to come together, that's what I want. That's my idea of a success. But I want this show sustainable, and so that means going out there and getting the right sponsors.
Yeah, getting support.
Right, and so that's one of my major jobs for
Anybody
next year.
Listening, if you want to support, reach out.
Yes, please reach out. So you can reach out to District 5960. Just go online, give us a call. We'll be right there for you. So that's my goal for this show is it's surviving.
Yeah.
My goal for Rotary is that I look at the mission of Rotary as moving the world towards an ideal world. That's our goal. Yeah. Our goal is not just clean water, not just helping the environment, not just polio, not just that. The real goal behind all of those projects is to finally reach an ideal world. And in an ideal world, we will have peace. Yeah. Because when people have what they need, they don't need to go out and hurt other people, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd like to think we're going to hit an ideal world sometime soon, but let's face it, it will always be over the next hill, around the next corner. We will get closer and closer, but the finish line really will never really reach.
Yep.
Rotary needs to be there when we get that close.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
And we have the ability to do that, and we have the ability to always be relevant. So Rotary made great strides when they started looking at all the quote-unquote rules that they used to have concerning to who joined and what membership looked like, because that was stifling. That was stifling Rotary's real goal, which is to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And so my goal for Rotary is, 2,000 years from now, the Rotarians are looking back going, look how far we've come.
Yeah, just keep progressing.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it. There is no reason. If you have the goal that everybody has clean water, you could potentially get there. And then what's your goal? It's like having a goal in high school of getting into college.
Yeah.
What do you do once you get there? I mean, you gotta be thinking past that.
Yep.
Right? It's not so. Yeah. So that's my goal for Rotary: is we remain relevant, we continue to evolve as the world around us evolves. That we find those people who are Rotarians in their heart anyway, and that we partner with them, and we move the world forward for everybody.
It just reminds me of Matthew McConaughey's Oscar acceptance, which, by the way, Matthew McConaughey, Youth Exchange, Rotary
Cool.
Youth Exchange connection right there, people. Everybody does it. Do it. He talks about, he was always asked, who is his hero? And he said, me in 10 years, because I can never be my hero. I'm always aspiring to be my hero. Mm-hmm. So I'll never meet my hero. I'll never be that. I kind of got that from your thought of the future for Rotary as well, is that you just never want to meet your hero, but you just always think of what else can we do 10 years down the road? How can we aspire? How can we keep pushing? How can we keep moving?
Yeah, we have to. Sometimes we don't dream big enough.
Oh, 100%.
Right? We need to dream big and realize we may not get there, but we'll get a lot closer.
Yeah.
Right? So it's important to realize it's a step at a time. It's a turn of the wheel. It's one cog. But it's always with that ideal of what's way down the road, because that's where we're really headed.
Yeah.
So is it bad to have an aspiration for this show to have 1 million viewers a week? And
that would be fabulous.
And internationally broadcast and syndicated.
Yes.
I love it.
Exactly.
See that? Put that out into the universe.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
You got to start and you got to grow.
You got to start. You got to grow. You got to see what's coming. I mean, the world has opened up in a lot of respects that we never had before. I mean, the pandemic was horrible. But, man, we're all really good at Zoom now.
Yep.
And we've realized that we are not restricted by our local environment, right? We can talk to people all over the world.
Yeah.
And that is so cool because that does make us that much smaller as a world.
I like it. I like it. And then you tie it back to serving locally, but kind of understanding the macro level of it and being able to connect with people all over the world. And then just how do you start that? Because that can be so overwhelming, right? You're talking to people all over the world that's doing projects here, there, and everywhere, and you're like, what am I doing? Well, maybe you're doing highway cleanup, and that's something. It's not nothing.
No, right? The whole idea, there's a great book out there called World Changing 101 by, I think it's Dave Lamont, and if I got the wrong author, I apologize. But his point is we change the world every day that we get up. It is not whether or not you're going to change the world. Mm-hmm. The question is, how are you going to change the world? How are you consciously going to make a decision and change the world? Because we change it whether we want to or not. Right?
Yeah.
We just want to change it in the correct way. And it doesn't take something big. It takes opening doors and smiling at people and telling them they did a good job. Mm-hmm. And you've impacted life. My brother said to me when I was I originally went into family practice, and he said, what do you mean? You're not going to, go into cancer research? I mean, don't you want to, change the world? And I said, if I prevent one teenage pregnancy, I've changed the world.
Yeah.
So we don't have to think that it has to be something big to change the world. We're going to change the world. How do we want to consciously decide to change the world and do it? And every small thing will end up with a bigger impact down the road.
Another great message for the audience, too. Yeah. Ask yourself, how do you want to change the world, and what do you need to help you do that? And does Rotary possess those things? More than likely it does.
Yeah. The question is, how are you going to change the world today?
Yeah.
And we should think about that every morning when we get up. Today, what am I going to do to change the world?
Solve world hunger and tell nobody.
Well, start small. Okay, I'll tell you one quick story of the answer. So I have a friend in Hayward, Wisconsin, who every time she goes out for a walk, she picks up trash. She has done this for at least a decade, maybe 2 decades. Well, what's interesting is you might think that is not a huge project, but what's interesting in over the years, everybody who goes for a walk with her, you have to bring a plastic bag. Yeah. But now the church groups go out with their plastic bags, and everybody goes out in Hayward, Wisconsin when they go for a walk, and they pick up trash. And so it's huge. And it started with just one person.
She changed the culture.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right. And it wasn't something big. It was just, when I go out, I pick up trash.
Yeah, I'm already there. It's a simple step.
Right? It's all those little things make something big.
As we're wrapping up, I think a really great question is, what piece of advice do you have for your incoming district governor? What piece of advice?
Or other district governors.
Or other district governors that are coming in.
Is that a tough one?
One piece of advice.
Take a really deep breath. And remember to exhale.
Get ready. I love it. Real quick before we go, we got the Tri-District Conference coming up next week. You can still sign up virtually.
You can still go up and sign on to attend virtually. It has closed for in-person, but it is still open to attend virtually. Go ahead and do it. It's going to be fabulous.
It's next Saturday, 10 to 4. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what can people expect? And, I know we've got a bunch of speakers. We've had a couple on. But
Yeah, so we've got some fabulous speakers on. Right, you had Mike Kaiser on from the Good Samaritans. He's going to be talking. Lonnie Stromo has done this great thing on how to measure impact. How many lives are you impacting with what you do?
So we have Pat Merriweather, right? Pat Merriweather?
Yeah, she's not going to be there. Julia Phillips is the presidential representative who's coming. She's a lovely woman. I've met her online, not in person yet, but she's great. Dr. Jermaine Davis is the main keynote speaker. Alec Johnson is coming in from Plano, Texas.
Alec.
you had Alex online.
That's who I was thinking of. That was a really great one.
Yeah. Somebody from Toastmasters. Rotary has joined with Toastmasters in a partnership, and somebody will be there from Toastmasters.
I will have to check that out.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. You're listening to Searching for Service.
And just as a reminder out there, it's time to stop searching and start serving.